Welcome to Bird Burger. When you think of the Micro Four Thirds format for wildlife photography on YouTube, you'll most likely think of Espen Helland and how he has carved a path for the format to us all in the wildlife photography genre. However, it wasn't always that way. Espen used to shoot on an APS-C at the beginning of his YouTube journey, but since has found himself an ambassador for OM systems. Today, I'll be talking with Espen Helland about why this is and how he found his rise on YouTube as a wildlife photographer. Espen, I'm super excited to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Very excited. Thank you so much for having me on. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, it's awesome because when I kind of started out my YouTube journey, you and just a few other people I feel like were doing it. So it's a really cool honor to get to have you on today just to talk with you about your couple years now in your YouTube journey and experience, and I'm excited to go through all of that. So
yeah, really good. That was a way too nice introduction, by the way. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I think I might be pumping you up a little bit too much. Now the expectation is up here from everyone. You're like, I'm not going to fill that.
I'll bring us back down. Don't worry.
Yeah, there we go. Well, yeah, I'm glad to have you on. Like I said, you were definitely one of those creators that kind of inspired me early on. Today's purpose really is twofold. I wanted to, number one, get the opportunity for you to really be able to share your story, some of your wildlife photography journey and stuff like that. But then also, secondly, your choice to go into the MFT genre in wildlife photography and just some insight on that. I know that I have, at least 50 or so, 100 or so, because I recently took a poll, wildlife photography content creators that follow me. And so I know that they would find a lot of value in getting to hear about your journey. And then I also know, because I started in the MFT genre like 3 years ago when I started YouTube, I was still in the MFT world. So I know I still have a decent amount of people there. So I think that we'd really get a lot of benefit from both of those two conversations. So to start out, as far as I know, your wildlife photography journey on YouTube started about 5 years ago. How did you get started on YouTube? And did you ever think you would kind of grow to the size you are now? Or what was kind of that vision at the beginning?
No, definitely not. That was definitely not something I thought. I remember when I first started out, and I'd been going for a little bit at this point, and I had maybe 100, 200 subscribers, and I was watching one of Tron Vespi's videos. He had just started a little bit before me, and I remember over the Christmas holidays he had just reached that coveted 1,000 subscribers, and I was thinking, I'm never going to get to that. If only I can get to that. So no, I didn't think so at all. And I remember it was slow going at the first. I think you may be right. It was 5 years ago. I can't even remember now. I published one video and I kind of just left it, and I think there was 20 subscribers or something like that in the first year or something like that. It's just nothing. But just coming back to it then and going at it a bit more consistently, and seeing kind of what the platform could be. Like, I didn't have the foresight then. I was working. My background is in wildlife conservation, and I used to work as an ecologist as well. And I kind of found that I would never really make that much of a difference in the ways that I wanted to with conservation and wildlife kind of protection and conservation. But I can kind of see now how YouTube and having that platform, I can kind of combine the two of wildlife photography and what I was doing before. So yeah, it's a great platform.
That's really cool. I had no idea that was your background. So that's awesome kind of getting to hear that. And I agree. I think that's an awesome way, like as a content creator myself too, it's like I'm trying to think about how can I make this about the art, because the art is valuable in itself, but also how can I make it about things beyond that, like conservation, like you said. So that's really cool that's kind of been maybe a thought for you kind of even from the beginning. So yeah.
More and more.
Do you mind sharing with us a little bit about your growth numbers? Like, I know you said after your first year you had like 20 subscribers, right? I think it's really early, or it's really easy, especially early on, to feel super discouraged about all that type of stuff, right? What were kind of those check marks, or those what's the right word, like benchmarks for you in terms of your progression, and when did you hit those?
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I knew. I have a look. When you go into your YouTube analytics and stuff, and you look a little bit around the place, and I can't actually see when I hit the certain numbers. But I do remember that when I posted this video, I actually went traveling. Me and my partner, we sold up our house and we went traveling in Southeast Asia. And I remember looking at that video that had been up there that had gained me those 20 subscribers. And it had about maybe 4,000 views or something, which was just mind blowing. Like, obviously, it probably wasn't that good because nobody subscribed, but but the fact that it had that many views, I was like, oh, there's definitely something to this. So, I went back to it, and I think I started posting weekly videos. And the numbers would kind of trickle in. One video I would get a couple here and there, and I think I had a couple of bigger ones where all of a sudden you had a rush of numbers. I don't know if you get this as well, but you go in these waves where it's like a steady kind of a couple people here and there, and then all of a sudden one video will make a big spike. But I've definitely realized as well that it's not all about the numbers, and the subscribers will come when they come, and try not to focus too much on it really. I'm trying to rack my brain if I did make 1,000 subscribers within a year, or if it took me 2 years. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So
no, it's a really hard balance. I feel like finding that kind of balance between valuing kind of that growth and trying to pursue that growth, but then also making sure that you're not like just investing so much into it that that's what you get caught up in and that's all that you care about, and it leads to more mental kind of discouragement and problems and all that stuff. So it's a hard balance between those two things for sure.
Yeah, take it as it comes.
Yeah. I think one of the most interesting things about your channel is that, as far as I know, you seem to be, and I'm pretty familiar with the space, but maybe I am missing someone out there. So if I am, I apologize. But I think your channel may be the only dedicated wildlife photography channel that is, sorry, how do I say this? You're the only Micro Four Thirds format dedicated wildlife photography channel, maybe above 5,000 subs or so. So I think it shows kind of the uniqueness of what you have to offer the wildlife photography YouTube genre specifically, because most YouTubers that are wildlife photographers don't also have that. Next weekend we'll be releasing an episode, you and me, where we're talking a lot more about the Micro Four Thirds format, so much more in detail. So I don't want to give away too much, but for now, can you just tell us a little bit about your choice to go MFT and why you've kind of stuck with it throughout the years?
Sure. So, as you said, I do think there's a couple of other channels, by the way, but maybe Mike Lane, and I think there's another guy in the US who maybe stopped posting for a bit. I forget the name right now. But anyways, I was shooting with Canon. She said I had the Canon 7D. And I think I had the 100-400 Mark II. And this was, a good few years ago now. And I was kind of seeing, like, what is the next step from there? I really wanted to move on from that. And I was probably looking at getting a 500mm prime or something like that. And it was looking really expensive to make, that jump. But I was kind of like, that seems fine. But then it was also, it looks so heavy. I would have to invest in an old one, and they look so heavy, and I would just have to start using a tripod, which I hate doing. So, and I remember being kind of advertised about this loan scheme from Olympus, where they would lend you the gear for a little bit. So I applied for that, and I remember getting it just before the holidays for Christmas, and they actually let me have it a bit extra because of that, because I couldn't send it back to them. But then using the system, I think they gave me a EM1X and a 300 f4, which is just my favorite lens. Like, that's just what I've been using since then. And then just playing around with it and just like really realizing what the system is, how small it is, how lightweight it is. It was perfect for me as a YouTuber as well, because it makes it a lot easier to take all your photography gear and your vlogging gear with you when it's just a little bit lighter, a little bit more compact, and I can carry it all in a small backpack. And seeing things like how the image stabilization worked, I was photographing. I remember one of my first images was just really pushing that shutter speed down and shooting like something like 1/13 of a second or something like that of a dipper on a river, and just getting that flow in the background and everything. I was just thinking more about, this system's for me. Yeah, I'm definitely doing this. And it was just, I was just kind of ready. I think I made the jump a couple of months after that, and haven't really looked back since.
Do you feel like your kind of use of MFT has kind of furthered your creator's career? And do you think that that's kind of, I don't know, provided the foundation and the base for who your audience is? Or do you think that your audience expands very widely beyond that? I guess majority-wise, do you think the majority of your following is MFT-oriented? Or do you think the majority of your following, it doesn't really matter whether it's MFT or not?
That's a good question. I think definitely before it didn't matter. Like it would be anyone, I think. And even when I got started doing shooting with Olympus and that for quite some time. But I suspect now that because I've done some of these videos when new things have come out, like the OM1 or now the OM5 and that, then I get new subscribers because of those types of videos. So I guess the balance kind of shift. But I do get comments from people and messages from people that have, they don't use Micro Four Thirds system, but they kind of enjoy coming out in the field. It's really nice when you get comments from people like that, and also from people who are much better photographers than me. I'm looking at their account and just like, how do you follow me? Your photography is awesome. So I guess for some people it's more about that experience, about just coming out, and it's a little bit more kind of inspiration. And that's kind of what I try and keep the balance. I don't want too much focused on the gear or the reviews or anything like that. I try to keep a healthy balance. I was saying that though, I've just gone through loads of reviews videos lately, but sometimes sometimes you just end up in one of these like, oh no, I've committed to too many things.
Yeah. I get you. Yeah. That's awesome. So getting back to kind of more YouTube specifically, not necessarily with MFT, right? But YouTube, how do you view the platform? Do you view it as sort of just a hobby for you? Or do you view it something kind of seriously and like either as a business or pursuing it as a business? Or what's kind of your kind of perception of YouTube as a platform?
I mean, yeah, it's a crazy platform. It's absolutely amazing. And there was, as many people know, there was nothing like it when I was growing up, and for a lot of people. And like I said before as well, I'm viewing it more and more as a place where I can kind of have a voice to try and make a difference. So I'm trying to implement more and more storytelling and dragging in conservation and that as well in my videos. But I definitely view it as YouTube was the reason that I managed to make a business out of this. That's how I've kind of managed to support myself out becoming a wildlife photographer. And so I do view it as a business, but I don't view it now as this is the one and only thing I have to do. So I don't care too much about the numbers anymore, getting to a certain height. I care more about the engagement and people actually watching videos. That they actually enjoy watching the videos is more important than a lot of viewers. And it has also become over time then a bit more, focusing a bit more on workshops and one-to-one and all these kind of other things that goes with having wildlife photography as a business. But it is definitely my main platform where I put the most amount of work. I'm just careful to kind of do other stuff as well. Yeah,
most definitely. Diversifying outside of it. But it seems like it's kind of your main hub and where you've kind of spawned that growth from, but you've diversified now out of it to where it's a lot more than just that. I think one of the hardest things about maybe doing something like what you're doing is that if you're a YouTuber specifically or diversifying even outside of it, but you kind of live in this digital realm. Like maybe I'm wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like mostly your business exists in this digital realm. And so I think one of the hardest things about that is that I've experienced this for sure, is that it's a very lonely and a solo craft. There's no one that's telling you to go out and shoot, when you get a chance. There's no one pushing you to edit your video, all of that stuff. What are some ways that, I guess, twofold, what are some ways that you kind of keep your mental health kind of healthy and in a good spot, but then how do you also keep yourself accountable to growth on your platforms and just all of that, the whole business side of everything?
I think as I mentioned, I started out posting one video every week. And that was really good for me, and that helped me grow. But also a bit bad after a while, because you do get that, you create your own, almost like, well, I have to do this. This is what I have to do. So I wouldn't call it a prison or anything like that, but it's like, just because I was so into it that like everything else was put on hold.
Yeah,
I suppose. And I remember going into lockdown, I actually tried posting one video every day.
I remember that. Yep.
6 days or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was crazy. But it was really good. It was a good learning experience. But I've definitely noticed now after a few years that I don't mind so much. I think it's really important to take breaks and just step back from it, like, because it'll be there. Like, it doesn't really matter if I don't post every week. So I'm trying more and more to let that go, and also schedule time in with my girlfriend and stuff, and just take weekends off and take a little bit more time off to not have the pressure. And also going out for photography, and just for photography's sake, being out in nature with my camera, because that is ultimately how I would kind of unwind. But if you're trying to capture everything with your camera as well and vlog and that, it can become a bit more stressful. So I think that keeping myself accountable, I think I don't know if I have any good tricks for it. It's more sometimes I see, I haven't published a video in 3 weeks. I should really do something. Yeah. I need to get a move on here. You can't let it fall too far the other way. But I think I just you just have to kind of pinch yourself and just like, you gotta keep it up, or like just taking a step back and thinking of what matters, or what kind of content do I get geared up about, like do I get fired up about? Because if I just create stuff that I'm not really fired up about, then it's easy to think of it as more of a you have to do this kind of thing, But if you're actually constantly pushing yourself and trying to do things that you really enjoy doing, it becomes a lot easier to keep doing it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I personally started out for my main channel. We were talking a little bit a while ago, but I started out on my main channel. Same thing, like one video a week, and I fulfilled that for the first year that I was doing YouTube. I think actually like the first year and a half, I think I only missed like 1 week or something like that. But I was just coming to a place where I was realizing like, this is like, I've already capped on what I'm capable of doing every week with the resources I have. And I was like, I'm not liking what I'm making right now. Like, it's super stressful, like all that stuff. So I started reorienting going into 2022, where on the main channel, it was like, I'm just going to take my time, produce something I really value, even if that takes a full month per video, that's okay. But at the same time, I was like, I want a platform to be able to weekly connect with people and something low maintenance. That's why I started at Bird Burger. We've been doing this is because I love that. I genuinely love getting to do things like this, where I'm talking with others and getting to hear their perspectives, and I'm being a learner myself, and then getting to share and teach the little bit that I know.
It's good. It's really good. Yeah.
It's a hard thing to figure out your balance and kind of keep that accountability, but also make sure that you're not like, killing yourself and stressing yourself out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I do enough of this actually. So it's really good to have these kind of talks. What do you think for holding yourself accountable? Do you need that, or are you just so driven that it doesn't never stops?
Yeah, I am like, I think I don't know if you've ever heard of like this personality test called the Enneagram. But the Enneagram, I am a achiever and a individualist on the Enneagram, and not that probably almost anyone is going to know what that means, but essentially I am like,
what number is that?
It's 3 and 4. Okay, so you do know the Enneagram.
3 and 4. I do know it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Do you know what your numbers are?
It might be a 9, I think.
Okay, my wife's a 9.
My girlfriend tells me what I am. I don't. I go, okay.
Yeah.
So then I read it. I was like, oh yeah, that actually looks a little bit like that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, my wife's she's a 100% 9, so that's hilarious that you're a 9 too.
Right.
So I'm married to a 9, but. Anyways, yes, I'm a 3 and a 4, which is achiever, individualist. So like the individualist side of me is like the person who's like purpose driven, like very much like art, artsy, like everything I make has to have purpose and meaning in it. And then the 3 in me is the achiever that's like constantly setting goals and just motivated to hit them and all that stuff. So I kind of do have the fortunate personality trait of kind of, I think, being geared towards doing something like this. So when you ask about that, that's not to say that I don't have those ways of keeping accountable to growth, but it does come, I think, maybe more naturally to me than other people. Like if you look at like, I mean, for example, I have like all my videos that I'm going to be doing planned out usually 1 to 2 months in advance, like every date scheduled out, everything. So I definitely have that kind of like that kind of workflow and everything. So I have most everything scheduled out a month in advance, like which days I'm going out to do what things, and then the release dates all planned out. So there's a lot that I put into that. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's really impressive. I remember I did a podcast with Ray Hennessy, and he seems the same. He seems to have everything planned like months in advance, every social media post. I'm most of the time I finish a video and I upload it to YouTube and I hit publish.
Yeah.
It's about as much. Yeah, I try and be a little bit better than that, but a lot of times that's the way it's going.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, I did definitely start out that way. I've only developed that now, especially now that this is becoming more like of a financial income to me. I've wanted to make sure to develop that, but. Yeah, so
it's good. Maybe it's not too late to learn from either. Then I'll try and.
Yeah, we'll have to have more behind-the-scene chats off camera where we're not revealing our secrets, but just like, yeah. No, that's good. I love that. Do you feel like obviously we've been talking about how you're a content creator and all that stuff, right? Do you feel like YouTube and being a content creator has affected you as a wildlife photographer? Like if you think of just strictly wildlife photography, do you feel like it's affected you as a wildlife photographer for better or for worse?
Both, I would say. I remember in the beginning, when I was starting out with wildlife photography, I would often struggle to like put in the hours and like actually sit in a hide until that one animal showed up, or just staying out for longer amounts of time. And I think that starting YouTube and doing the vlogging actually helped me accountable to push myself further, to stay out there longer, because I have a video I have to upload weekly, so I have to get it. And I do remember, like, people would say like I did a video where I didn't, nothing showed, I sat here, nothing happened, and people say in the comments, which are really nice, they say, like, oh, it's nice to see that happens to you as well. And it's like, yeah, that's really cool. That's really nice, and thank you for being so supportive. But I doubt you would keep watching if I released a video every week. It's like, well, it's another day in the hide. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I think at that point it was really helpful, and it kept me accountable, and it just kept pushing me. I think these days it can be a little bit of a hindrance because I'm always flicking between video and photo. I want to get, because I really want to improve my videos, and I really want to get like a video of the animal that I'm photographing, and I want the videos to start looking better and better as well.
Yeah.
So there's always that constant struggle between, when do you do video, when do you do photo? And you do video, and it's like, oh, it looks like it's going to do something cool. And I stop the video, and it takes a second, and then I take the photo, and the moment's gone. And then, so yeah, both, definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so relatable. Yeah, I absolutely hate that, especially when you're doing that switch between video and photo, and then it's like the perfect moment as you're switching between that, and then you switch, you're like, all right, let's do this, and then it's like gone, and you're like, no,
I should have just filmed it.
Yeah,
it's just No.
Yeah, that's tough. No, I love that. I think that even just sharing, I guess from my end, I would agree with you. There's a lot of better and worse. I think one of the ways that it's made me better is that I definitely put a lot more energy into learning learning it conceptually, learning from others, like all that stuff, because I have to be so knowledgeable about it, because I'm pretending to know what I'm talking about on camera. It forces me to learn, and I'm constantly like growing and learning in that. But the way that it's harder and it's made me worse as a wildlife photographer is I definitely like am I'm actually maybe a little bit the opposite of you in this way, but I definitely get to go out so much less, I feel like, than I used to because I'm spending so much time doing all this stuff, you know? Right, yeah, but yeah, that's interesting. So at the beginning of your journey, especially, and even now, who have been some of your role models in becoming a wildlife photography YouTuber?
Yeah. Oh, I think the first person I saw on YouTube was Thomas Heaton. Do you know him? Mm-hmm. He's a landscape photographer. Lives down in north of England.
Yeah.
So he was the first one I saw, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like I just love watching it because I was, at that time I was working as a freelancer after I kind of worked as a full-time as an ecologist, and then I found myself with a lot more time in my hands, so I started going out for photography so much more. And then I really wanted to learn as well, and I was at that time I was trying out different types of photography. Wildlife had always been like the main thing, but I was curious about other stuff as well. So I remember watching him a lot then, and when I went traveling, I actually thought that when I went traveling, I went with the purpose of thinking that I could maybe make a living from YouTube or whatever, like making a living on the road, basically digital nomad or whatever. So I went with the purpose of kind of starting to figure that out, and I was listening to podcasts like Gary Vee and all these kind of people who really know their stuff and social media and that sort of stuff. I remember watching a bit of Brandon Van Son as well, and about how he made money in that. And then after quite a while of trying to do travel photography, trying to sell photos in an old kind of way, I kind of realized that this isn't working, and I kind of find my way back to wildlife photography. And I think I found my way back to that by really, all the other types of photography was every time I went out and I didn't come back with a good image. If I had tried photographing a landscape or something like that, I was kind of like a little bit bummed out. But then when I would come back and had been, gone out for wildlife photography, I had a good experience anyways. It wasn't so, obviously I wanted a nice image, but it wasn't so important. So I kind of came back to that. And I think at that point, Morten Hilmer had started releasing his wildlife photography videos as well. So that was like a big thing before I started out.
Yeah, the Prince world for wildlife photography, but even a lot of other surrounding genres is definitely not really the way anymore. I feel like I've known like one or two people that have made any significant amount of money on that, and I've talked with a lot of people, and so that's interesting. But that's cool getting to hear kind of your inspirations, and that's pretty awesome for anyone watching that wants to maybe become a wildlife photography YouTuber. What would be maybe your biggest piece of advice to them starting out?
I think really just realizing that it's a marathon. Don't go at it too hard and think that if you just push this like crazy, it's going to happen overnight. Be patient with it. Really just don't get too hung up on the metrics. Try and improve what you're doing, and like you said there, like you learn so much more about the craft, and share that experience, that process. But really just don't get too hung up on it. And I think I would say don't stop. I think the only people who have actually not made it, or whatever made it is, I don't know what the qualification of made it is, but but I think it's just don't stop. I mean, because sooner or later you get there if you keep at it. Like I wouldn't call myself a fast learner, but after you publish like 100 and whatever videos or something like that, you slowly start to learn. It's like there's a pattern here of what kind of works and what doesn't, and you improve. But you just keep going, really. Yeah,
that's super cool. I love that. Yep, it's a marathon. It's a slow journey sometimes, goes quicker at some points, slower at other points. That's a great piece of advice. And it's easy. Like, I feel like it's so hard because I always find myself in a tension of like kind of trying to break down and analyze what I could do better, and all of that, and even seeing what other people are doing so that I can personally kind of figure out how I can do stuff better too. But it's also hard at the same time not to get so caught up in that comparison, for example, as like, oh man, like why is this working for them but it's not working for me, or things like that. And that is tricky. So definitely being learning to be content where you're at is huge. Well, cool. It's super great getting to have you on, Espen. I'm glad we got to hear a little bit about your story, kind of how you've progressed, what your kind of perspective is. So it's really cool to hear about all that. And excited to bring you on next week as well to talk about MFT a little bit more. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. That was great.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something from Espen's interview and learned a little bit, and it encouraged you on your wildlife photography journey if you're a creator or you got to see a little bit about Micro Four Thirds. Next week, we'll be talking about Micro Four Thirds a lot more in detail. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to make sure to check out that video when it comes out. And I'll see you guys next time.